driving in my van again, and I was thinking about like why Jesus had to die on the cross, and I'm thinking about the remission of sins, and I don't understand it. I don't think anybody understands it, to be honest. I don't think there's a person alive that understands why God would send his son to be born of a virgin and, well, I know what Jesus said. He said that he came here to bear witness to the truth. And he said, everyone that is of the truth hears his voice. And I know I hear his voice, but that doesn't mean I understand everything that has happened and why it has happened. I know there's a lot of people that will explain to you why he died on the cross. Well, it's obvious why he died on the cross, because a bunch of people didn't like what he was saying, and they had their own idea of what was right and wrong, and that was the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and what that is it's a false religion that's like molded after the idea of God and salvation and all that. But if I'm being honest, I don't understand. There's a lot of things I don't understand that I want to understand. I want to understand all the things that Jesus said, and I don't. I think I understand a lot of them, but some of the things that, like the parables that he would say or would tell, some of those things maybe are, let me give an example. Jesus and his disciples, or some of them, were out on a boat, and Jesus made a comment to them saying, beware the leaven of the Pharisees and of Herod. I mean, if you would have said that to me, I don't think I would have understood it either, but the disciples kind of gathered together and they were like, he's saying that because we only brought one loaf of bread, like out on the boat. They didn't understand what he was saying, clearly. The disciples also didn't understand that he was going to be crucified and raised the third day. But he told them this, and they didn't comprehend it. It's like it went right over their head. And I feel the same way. I feel like some of the things that I have learned, that I do understand, when I look back on what I thought about those things before I feel as if I understood them, I look back and I say, oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't ever consider it. It never went across my mind. So when I'm thinking of a lot of the things that are happening in our world today, I hope they're not going right over my head, but they probably are. Jesus even said to them, because after they said that, I think it was the same time on the boat, and he was like, it might have been a different time, but he was saying, I think he was saying to some he speaks in parables, because it wasn't given them to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God. And so he spoke them in parables. And they were, what were they saying? they witnessed a miracle. They saw supernatural things happen and being manifested in a very physical way that fed people. It kept them full. It filled their stomach with food. And then Jesus was saying, he was even asking them, he said, how many baskets were left when we fed the 4,000 or whatever? And they told him, and they were right. And they knew that it only came from one fish and a loaf of bread or whatever, or 2 fishes and a loaf of bread. And then he asked them, what about when we fed the 5,000? How many baskets were left? And they told him, and they were right. So they clearly knew that they had more left over than they started with. That's an obvious miracle. And they didn't comprehend that it was a miracle. They just didn't. And Jesus said, how is it that you do not understand? He didn't understand why they didn't understand. So I know that we have all the scriptures, and we have teachings, and we have an idea of a lot of these things. But I think I'm seeing a lot of his disciples doing that today, and me included. I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying that I see a lot of his disciples, maybe even you, witnessing an obvious miracle that couldn't be done any other way than a supernatural event. I see that today. Here we go. Flat Earth. How is it? Like, this is something that people don't comprehend. And I see it, like, very clearly. Jesus has performed a miracle, and he's taken so many people out in this world and removed them from this Babylon, taken them out and placed them in their own land. And then he said, they will be my people and I will be their God. And when I'm thinking about that, I don't claim to understand it. I don't. I know that I believed one thing my whole life, and then truth came into my life, and I know it came from him. And it even says that in the Bible. Grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. I know it was him. And people will say flat earth is just, it's a truth that is always in the Bible, but, why didn't we understand it? Well, it's not a miracle. It's biblical cosmology. That's all. And I'm saying, no, it's the glory of God being revealed. That's what it is. It's salvation. What does it say in 1 Peter, I think? 1 Peter 1? Salvation to be, I don't know how, it says about the last time, to be revealed in the last time. What if that's what this is? And like all throughout the Bible, when God says that I will take you from among the heathen and place you in your own land, I believe that land is flat earth. That land is the true creation. And like in Enoch chapter 45, I can't quote it, but it talks about it says, I will transform the heaven. I'm just gonna get as close as I can. It says he'll transform the heaven, and then it says he will transform the dry ground and make it a blessing, and cause mine elect to dwell there. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this? This is the miracle that Jesus did to that blind man, when he said, when he told him, he put spittle in his eyes and he told him to go wash in the pool of Siloam. And when when the guy went over there and washed his eyes out, he could see, okay? That's this miracle I'm talking about. Did that happen to you? It happened to me. I'm not saying I can see everything or something. Like, I'm not saying that, but if you are a person that can see that the globe we were all raised on is a lie, then you're one of the people that he was talking about when he said, blessed are your eyes for they see, and your ears for they hear. And that's when he said, many prophets have longed to see the things that you see and hear the things that you hear, but they lived their whole life and didn't get to see that. And that's why he's saying, blessed are your eyes. We're witnessing a miracle. And I don't understand it all, but I know it's a miracle. These last several years that this has been even a topic of discussion or debate, that I see that to be Jesus coming on the clouds, flying with the clouds of heaven, uttering his voice, and many people more every day hear his voice. And like in 2nd Ezra chapter 13, it said they melted like wax melts when it's near the flame. And in that 2nd Ezra 13, it also talks about these tribes going to a different land that nobody's ever dwelled in before. And a place where they could keep his commandments and keep his ways, because previously the place they were at, they couldn't. So anyway, it's amazing to me, and I'm not saying that people are supposed to see it the way I do, but that's the way I see it. Yeah. So I want to understand what being born again is. I think I do, kind of. I want to understand what salvation is. I think I do, sort of. I want to know what the glory of God is, and I'm positive I know what that is, because it says it in Isaiah 40, verses 3 through 5. It says, every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. That's what John the Baptist quoted in Luke chapter 3, verses 4 through 6. It says almost the exact same thing. But he said, this is what is interesting to me when we're talking about salvation or the glory of God. When John the Baptist quoted Isaiah, he said, every valley shall be lifted, and every mountain and hill shall be brought low. And I might be off a little bit, but he said, the important part, he said the crooked made straight and the rough places smooth, or something like that. Then he said, and all flesh shall see the salvation of God. I know what a mountain is. I know what a valley is. I know what it means to be lifted or to be made low. I know what that means. It's actually talking about the shape of the ground. That's what it's talking about. It is. There's a cop right there. I'm going 75 and a 65. That ain't so bad. This thing we're experiencing is crucial. So that brings me to one more thing I wanted to talk about, is tomorrow morning, I believe it's tomorrow morning at 8:33, SLS is scheduled to launch. And I've tried to say this before, and if you've heard me say it, I hope you understand it. But in Revelation, in Revelation 7, it talks about these angels that are holding back the four winds of heaven. Now, I want to make sure you know that the four winds of heaven are real. They're real. The atmosphere, the air, whatever you want to call it, they're real. And it's not a story that's in a book. It's actually real. I mean, you can see it all around the air. Well, I guess you can't really see it, but they're holding back the four winds from hurting the earth. It says it was given to those angels to hurt the earth and the sea and the trees. And then it talks about a war in heaven, and it talks about Michael and his angels. I think it's those angels. It talks about them fighting with the dragon. And all I think about is the SpaceX Dragon and the Starship and all this rocket engine stuff, thrust. That's the strongest thing in the world. The strongest thing in the world, stronger than steel, stronger than rocks, stronger than granite, stronger than any element, is the atmosphere, the wind. It holds the whole creation together. It is the foundations of the earth. That's in Enoch chapter 18, 1 through 5. Go read that if you want to understand what part or what role the atmosphere or the winds plays in creation. It is the pillars of the earth. And SLS is just a NASA rocket that they're launching Artemis on. And that is, as of, if it goes into orbit, that's the biggest rocket that's ever gone into orbit. And if you put two and two together here, what I'm saying is that these space agencies are fighting against those angels, and it's a literal war that NASA and SpaceX, they're constantly testing out these rocket engines and the thrust that they can make, and designing and inventing new ways to use those winds to lift weight, to lift payloads into God's tabernacle and defile it with all their abominations. It's only going to go on for so long. Now, I don't know. I'm just saying that I don't think SLS is going to be, some event that happens where the sky rolls up. But I do think that Starship and that booster, when they try to launch that orbital, that's way bigger than than NASA's SLS. Way more thrust, way louder, and it is foretold that the sky will roll up like a scroll, and the stars of heaven will fall to the earth like figs from untimely figs or something from a fig tree. Again, that's real. It's not a story. It's foretold to be a physical thing that happens. So, look forward to that. People that don't believe in the firmament suddenly will start believing in the firmament. They'll understand that the atmosphere is something that we shouldn't be trying to manipulate. I'll put it that way. Okay. I don't know. It's a weird world we live in right now, and I'm just amazed by the information that's in those books and in the Bible. How it describes current events and current technologies. It's kind of scary, but I know that we have a Savior, and that's where I think we need to, like I was saying before, I don't understand a lot of the things I want to understand, but what I don't understand, I just believe what he said. He said it's his Father's will that he will raise us up on the last day. So, when is that day? I think it's coming up soon, but I don't know. So, prepare yourself by trying to stick your nose in the Bible and just talk to him and say, make these words speak to me. Make them, I know that they're real, and make them, or allow me to understand what I'm reading. And I think that he does answer prayers, especially like that. If you want to understand more, you can ask him, and he will give you understanding, I believe. But yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video and say hello to everyone and just talk a little bit what's on my mind. Hopefully you're all